warmth of the autumn sunshine, and so Sweetbriar's only charge was her fiery little niece in the stable opposite, who shared the same deep chestnut colouring, white blaze, and flaxen mane and tail. "Get back, you!" Ella laughed, as Blossom reared up, her tiny hooves waving in the air. Her mother, up on the hill, would have given her a warning nip on the neck, telling her to get back in line. Ella lifted a finger, which was enough to send Blossom skittering to the back of her stable. It was the last day of October, and the nights had suddenly turned chilly, the clear, bright, sunny afternoons giving way to evenings that were cold up on the hill. The clocks had changed, giving them a brief few weeks of extra light in the evenings, but that would be over soon. Then night feeds would be done in darkness, freezing fingers wrapped around the handles of icy-cold feed buckets, the horses clouding the air with dragon puffs of warm breath. This was the week when autumn took hold. The last few years, October had been a treat of a month, with afternoons which warmed up after misty cold mornings. Down the valley, Ella noticed smoke curling from the chimneys of the cottages below. Some of them were holiday lets, which often sat empty for the 6 colder months of the year. The town always quietened down as the temperature dropped. She rubbed her hands together, trying to warm them up, then slid the lock back into place. The farmhouse was warm and welcoming, and the 2 dogs lay snoozing in a tangle of legs and tails in front of the Aga. The temptation to collapse on the sofa with a large glass of red and the remains of the box of chocolates was strong. But the prospect of Lissa's wrath was more terrifying. Ella had promised that she'd be at the Halloween party at the Lion, and she'd promised again when she'd spoken to Lissa on the phone earlier that evening. No, she hadn't forgotten, and yes, she was definitely going to be there. She reached down and rubbed Cleo, the spaniel, behind her long floppy ears, and ran a hand over the snoozing wire-coated Jack Russell, Bob. He opened one eye, checking for treats. Realising none were forthcoming, he dropped off to sleep again. "All right for you two," Ella laughed, turning away. She dragged off her long brown outdoor boots, kicking them under the table, and turned for the bathroom, picking up a heap of roughly folded towels from on top of the Aga. They were deliciously warm. She wrapped her arms around them, feeling the heat rising under her chin. It was 5:30 already, and she had to transform herself from practical equine therapist into something suitable for a fancy dress party, or at least suitable to be transformed by Lissa, because, Ella shook her head, smiling to herself, she knew that the second she arrived at her friend's house, she'd be attacked with eyeliner pen and about a ton of makeup. Grasping the towels tightly, she headed to the stairs. "Ella, have you got a minute?" Bron called through from the sitting room, just as Ella put her foot on the first step. She hovered, the other leg in mid-air, towels balanced precariously under her chin. "Just going to have a shower. Lissa's expecting me." "I know." There was a pause. Bron cleared her throat, and Ella stepped back, feeling a strange, uneasy sensation in her stomach. She pushed the door open. Bron was sitting, her fingers steepled together, her brow furrowing. "What's happened?" "Nothing's happened." Bron chewed on her lip and leaned forward, straightening the wineglass that sat in front of her on the coffee table. Ella inclined her head, inviting her to talk. "Come on." She put the towels down and balanced herself on the arm of the sofa, her long legs tucked to one side. She noticed a hole in her sock and bent forward, pulling it off. "The thing is," Bron sat back and sighed, "I don't know how to tell you this. I've been trying to find a way for ages." Ella swallowed. Her throat felt tight, and as she spoke, her voice sounded quiet and somehow distant. "Tell me what?" She could feel the adrenaline response beginning to take effect, heart thudding against her chest, blood rushing in her ears. She took a deep breath in, calming herself, as she did her clients.